Hi, I'm Kia with My Lifestyle. Today I'm going to show you how to make 2 quick and easy Mother's Day cards that you can send off in the mail. They'll be sure to brighten any mom's day. So I started out with the floral picture I found online. I had already removed the background and cleaned up the image. So to make my card, I made a 5 by 18 inch rectangle. I chose this size because it works best for the envelopes that I have. I added the score line as a guide for the center of the card. Since the back will be plain, I wanted a guide to decorate how I wanted without going over the middle line. But in the end, you'll see I deleted it because I didn't really need it once I added the background. So here I'm sizing the floral print just to align with the bottom of the card and have it fit the space that I like. And some of the things that I'm doing to design and decorate this card are a little tedious, so I have sped up the video just so it's a little more fun to watch. So after I lined the flowers with the card, I took a rectangle for the background and I set the dimensions at 5 by 4, which is about halfway point for the white rectangle, just to get everything centered and lined up the way that I like. So at first I didn't want to put a background, I was just going to do words, but I thought the background would add something extra. So I added this cloud background that was already loaded onto Cricut's design space. And it's pretty whimsical and I think it works really well with the bright flowers that I chose. If you can see on the clouds, it's a bit of a double picture, so I took a rectangle and used the slice feature on design space to cut the image where I wanted it, so it didn't have that crossover line. So I took the cloud and just resized it to the rectangle to fit on the card. And then I moved it back so that it fit behind the flowers. And then I realigned everything to fit in my space. And I deleted the score line because the cloud background fit midway through the card, so I really didn't need that any longer. I grouped everything together just so when I moved the card around, everything would stay exactly where I put it. And then I added my text. I used Brittany's script, but I changed it to Baradon script. And I just spelled out, "You're the best grandma ever," with an exclamation point. You have to really drive that home. So the Baradon script that I chose is cursive, And sometimes the cursive is hard to line up correctly when you are using the letter spacing tool to reduce the space between the letters. So I ended up ungrouping the letters and moving each one by hand to fit the cursive together. And this part I did speed up because it is extremely tedious and not that interesting to watch. But I left it in, that way you can see just how I did it. After grouping the letters together, I recommend highlighting each word individually and welding it together. That way when you move it around to adjust the size, it doesn't come apart and you don't have to reattach each letter to the words. And you definitely don't have to do this part for every font, but for cursive it's best because the letters don't always line up correctly when you first type them out. So now I'm adjusting the words onto my card to see where I want them to fit, the placement and everything like that. When I finished and decided on the placement, there was negative space on the right hand side of the card, so I found some pretty butterfly images and loaded those in through Design Space, and then I added them to the card, resized them, and fit them in. I really like how they look. After you get your card done and everything placed the way you like, highlight the whole thing and flatten it, and that will make it so you can just print it and it'll cut the whole rectangle of the card and not each individual piece. So for the next card, I used a rectangle in the same dimensions, 5 by 8 as the previous one. And I knew I wanted a background in this one, so I didn't use the score line. I just went ahead and adjusted a second rectangle to fit the front half of my card. I selected the frame from images that I had previously uploaded to Cricut Design Space. I also selected a rose, and you'll see that throughout the rest of this card design, but I did not end up using it for this particular card. After aligning the floral frame on the card, I typed out Happy Mother's Day, and I used the Baradon print for that as well. This time I did make the font bold. I just wanted it to stand out really well for this card, since there wasn't a whole lot of design elements to it other than the frame and the words. And you'll see for this phrase, because it's cursive, it definitely needed to be, the letters needed to be moved by hand. So I sped this one up as well because, again, it's very tedious. So after moving all the letters together, I recommend welding each word, and then I grouped Happy Mother's Day together so that everything could be sized together and fit in the space. I did change the color of the background just so you could see how I was moving everything. It was a little hard to see with the dark gray, but I am planning on changing it into a pattern. And the pattern I used, I found online. I just searched floral backgrounds, and this one came up, and several others. And you'll see that I did change the background from one that I had already chosen. But just like the cloud one in the previous card, it also had duplicate prints on the sides. So I used the same method and just used a shape to cut at that line so it wasn't a duplicate. And this one was on the side and on the bottom. And then after I cut the extra background that I didn't need, I just resized the part that I wanted. And then I just realigned all my elements together. I did play with the color of the font and of the floral frame. I did end up choosing a dark gray that I really liked how it went with the background. And then again, flattened my design so that it came out as a print and cut. I'm excited for how these turned out, and I hope you liked them as well. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.